All right. We back. We back. We back. Let me put this on top. We back. Yep. Oh, they never take me alive. I'm getting with my 4-5 cocked on these. Time to die, even as a youngster, kicking ruckus on the back of the bus. I was a fool all through high school, kicking up dust, but now I'm as a troublemaker. Who could I blame? Smoking weed help me take away the pain, cause I'm hopeless. Rolling through the freeway, swerving. Don't worry, I'm about to crash up on the curb, cause my vision blurry. Maybe if they tried to understand me, what else could I do? I had to feed my family. What else could I be? We are thugs. Welcome to Pontiac WYAC. We back in the place to be, y'all. We back in the place to be. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got some things to talk about tonight. We're gonna let it go while I share. Oh. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pontiac WYAC. We back in the place to be. Rocking the number 11, baby. We got to do it like that. We got to do it like that. But anyhow, it's a lot to talk about tonight. Let's go. We got a comment already. Let's see. Hey, how you doing, Miss TD Luke? So we might be having Gil Garrett pop in tonight. Gil Garrett is running for Pontiac, City of Pontiac Mayor. I sent him the link. Hopefully he'll pop in, but it's a lot to talk about tonight. If you can see the very bottom, he's got the political candidates really getting heated up. We got some people for the City of Pontiac that's running. We got Mike McGinnis, who is the president of the Pontiac City Council, running. Not only do we have Mike, we have Kermit Williams that's going to be running for, that's also running for the mayor of the City of Pontiac. And not only him, we have Gil Garrett. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be some more that put their hats into this race. So we really want to kind of get into that. Not only that, we have Trump and Musk. Have they gone too far? I know a lot of people, a lot of people got they feeling on, the Trump and the Musk thing, is they going too far as with the immigration, the deportations? You got the DEI. Not only the DEI, you got the U.S. aid that's going on. You got a lot of little different things going on here. We got tariffs, U.S. ICE. You know what I mean? We got a lot of stuff going. On right now. So I sent the candidate, which is my man Gil Garrett. Hopefully he can pop on and we can talk a little bit about his candidacy. But for the moment, I guess we can kick it and talk about this Kendrick Lamar thing, since we got this on the front. I think Kendrick did a good job last night, y'all. Oh, we have. Hold on 1 second. April?
Yeah.
What's happening? I'm glad you popped on.
Hey, I'm happy that, I was able to make it happen.
That's what's up. So everybody, we have April. She just basically reached out to me and said, wouldn't you mind having a woman's perspective? I said, sure. So this is what the platform is all about, April. I mean, we basically, in a nutshell, we have call-ins and we have people that's impromptu that come on. And we'll talk about what's going on in the city of Pontiac. So where are you from, Pontiac, right?
Not born and raised. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. Moved around quite a bit.
Okay.
My husband is from Pontiac.
Okay.
I currently live in Pontiac, and I've been a business owner and still am a business owner in Pontiac.
What?
I own April's Famous Bakes. I used to have the old treat house down on Huron Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you pretty, you're how long have you been in Pontiac then?
I've been in Pontiac and been involved with Pontiac politics and anything community based since 2018, right before emergency management.
Okay. Okay. So tonight I had a preview. We might have Gil Garrett, which is running for the mayor of the city of Pontiac.
I just heard that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
but it's funny because Gil, the last time I did the show was really like the beginning of the very beginning of the year, and Gil called in and was like, "Yeah, man, if which we thought Tim was going to be running, you know what I'm saying, but." At the last minute, we just, basically the community found out a couple of weeks ago that he's not going to be running. But
Yeah.
Gil said if Tim doesn't run, then he would. So he said that around 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. So I kind of knew Gil was going to run, but I was waiting for him to announce it. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
so
Yeah, so this must be like a full circle moment for him. I'm excited. I mean, we've got some good candidates coming through the pipeline.
well, what do you know about them? I know we only got 3 so far that has committed to actually running. We got Gil, we got Kermit, and we got Mike McGinnis.
Right.
How do you feel about those candidates? The ones so far?
I do think that, so I do know each one of them personally
Okay.
at different capacities. I do think that they all have their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, as individuals and as people, I think that they are great. But ultimately, when people vote, they're voting on policy, what they're going to do for the community,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe what they have done in the past. So I know that Gil, he was Oakland County Sheriff and also sat on the school board.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Gil, for the longest, I know he's been about community. There is no question about that.
Oh yeah.
Gil, Gil is Gil is like for Pontiac. I haven't heard very much about any of his policy, and although I know these people all individually, I am a policy person. I ultimately vote on what changes are coming. So
I was
you
about to
know,
ask you what you looking forward to come then? What is far as the policies that you're looking to change? What from this administration that's in in power right now to the next? What are you looking for, or any of those candidates to bring, the ones that have put their hat into the race so far?
I'm looking for more support for businesses,
Okay.
more transparency. As a business owner in the city, I just recently, not so long ago, moved my business out of Pontiac. The reason
Okay.
why I moved, even though I do business anywhere, because I don't believe in just doing business in one spot. So I do business nationwide, but I did have a physical. I've had a restaurant in Pontiac.
Mm-hmm.
I've had, a bakery in Pontiac. And I will say anything entrepreneurial is near and dear to my heart. But I feel like, in comparison to other cities that I've been to, go to Detroit to do seminars, and there's just more services and more support, and it's intentional support. So I am looking specifically not only for these candidates to
Mm-hmm.
bring about support for specifically our downtown. I mean, our downtown is struggling. I don't know what the secret sauce is, what, what we can
Well, they
do.
got the county is coming down in the next. I'm thinking like by the end of this year, they're supposed to start with the construction of taking down the Phoenix Center, and you know that Oakland County supposed to be occupying one of the buildings downtown and bringing in around, I guess, 700 to 800 employees, which
Right.
is going to bring foot traffic to
As
down
they
there.
say,
Yeah,
as they say,
as they say, all right. What you
you
think?
know.
You don't think that's gonna happen? You don't what? You're not too
So
confident? What?
So I think that anything is possible, right? I do think that in the past there hasn't been very much intention in getting the locals on board, and I don't know, from I love Pontiac. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I have a perspective that is different from most because I wasn't born and raised in Pontiac, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my perspectives may not align with maybe somebody who was born here. So I don't know. I only know from my experiences what I've seen and what I recognize just from being in other states and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm positive that Pontiac can and will overcome and do anything. I do feel like there's missing ingredients in what would make Pontiac move and do better. I know that the six to 700 employees are supposed to be going down
Right.
to like near the Phoenix Center. My thoughts are these 6 to 700 people are moving up from approximately uh, less than 5 miles away from their previous location, right? They didn't support the downtown then. Um, we have the McLaren Hospital that's been there. Where are those people going? They don't support the downtown. So I'm not trying to be pessimist about
I'm
the
about to say,
situation.
would you Debbie Down and come on?
No, I
I'm
ain't being
listening.
no
I'm
Debbie
listening.
Down. I ain't being no Debbie Down. I'm just saying that they need to do better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying they need to do better because the people and the
By the way,
community.
Gil is watching. Gil, I sent you the link, buddy. Go ahead and tap in if you would like. Go ahead, April.
All right. I just think that the onus lies on the residents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not. A community only works if the residents put the work in, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that it goes for community residents, it goes to people who commute back and forth, back in and out of the city. It's the onus is not just in our leadership, it's also in the residents. And I do feel like some of the residents, not all,
Mm-hmm.
need to be more intentional. Some of the people who already work in the city need to be more intentional. We have restaurants in the downtown. We have services already for entrepreneurs. We have these things, and they're oftentimes underutilized. They're underutilized because the residents don't do their part. They don't get there. They
Mm-hmm.
don't show up. So I think that's not a that of course that's not a political issue, but I do think that as a leader, removing the barriers that can stop them from getting there needs to be looked at. And so maybe the barrier from the county workers that were only 5 miles away was that they were not close enough to support. So maybe because they are being literally dropped into the heart of downtown, we'll see some changes. I'm optimistic.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because anything at this point will help. You know what I mean? Like, um, 5 miles can be a world of difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because 700 people, you know, well, when you're working in a corporate job, a lot of times, you only get a 30 minutes to an hour to break, as far as lunch break, maybe 30 minutes, really, 30, 45 minutes. And if you
mhm.
can, I'm hoping that, you know, the lunch hour will really start to bustle downtown more or less, get some foot traffic hitting these different restaurants or things that's down there. Hopefully the community can start building downtown more. It has, I don't want us to really copycat another city, but I like the way that Royal Oak is. If we can have a main street like that, or even Rochester. Rochester has a great main street. It's just that you
Yeah.
know,
And they have a
yeah.
DDA, so one of the things that makes Rochester so
Mm-hmm.
different, you mentioned Rochester. I don't know about
Mm-hmm.
Ferndale, but I was also a member of the chamber, the
Okay.
Rochester Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And one thing that I did notice is that they do have a DDA. And I do think that that makes a big difference. When you have a DDA, their sole focus is how, you know, how to spark commerce in the downtown area.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that we don't have that, because we also have Main Street Pontiac.
Mm-hmm.
That's their focus, is the Main Street. I know that they are volunteer based, and so
Mm-hmm.
that changes things. I think that when you're committing, and and they work tirelessly, they're entrepreneurs, and they're coming, the people on Main Street on their board, they're coming from different facets of life, and because they're volunteering, they may not have all the resources to put in their all. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I get what you're saying. We don't want to be another. We don't need to be. We don't want to be another
No.
Rochester. We don't need to be a
No, Pontiac
Ferndale.
has its own, and I know you're not native to Pontiac, but yeah,
Mhm.
Pontiac has its own unique flavor, just like every other city, right? But I'm hoping, just like number one, you know, I'm hoping that downtown can begin to bustle, but not only just that, but like you say, supportive business, local businesses.
Yeah,
And you basically just said what you moved your business outside of Pontiac. You say,
I did. Yeah, I
okay,
did, partially out of necessity and partially out of frustration. If I could just be completely honest and transparent, because that's
yeah,
just
do
the way
that.
I operate. Um, Frustration because, like I said, I've been in the city since 2019. When I first moved to Pontiac in 2018, I took a year to just observe my community, just
Mhm.
just to understand what was going on in it. And then we hit emergency management, but I even through that, I saw the resilience, and I decided to open up my very first business, a brick and
Mhm.
mortar in Pontiac, around that time. Um, and I did notice that the people, there's there's strength here, and there is a love for community here. I also noticed that it is the same people, that show up to the meetings, that show
Yeah,
up to do these things. And Pontiac is a city of what, I don't know, I don't remember what the census is now. I can't
around
remember what
58
that.
to 60 something thousand, close.
Yeah, so where are the
It's
people at? Where are the people at? We
right.
are we it doesn't make sense to me that a community of 58,000, and we see the same community members attending the meetings, attending, the things that more people should be attending.
Mm.
Um,
So let me ask you then. I mean, I have a business too. It's called Effigy Media Arts,
yes, I'm
and
familiar.
yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
it's
do.
familiar. You've been in our space. My husband and I owned Menagerie Lounge,
Okay,
and
okay,
you've been in, yeah, yeah.
okay. So, and primarily most of my business comes from the city of Pontiac.
Hmm.
And I can understand where you're coming from. There are some barriers. Have you found it a little bit easier that you moved out? And what would it take? You said out of necessity. What would it take for you to get back into the city of Pontiac? Like, what drastically would have to change? I mean, all businesses need commerce and foot traffic and referrals
Hmm.
and stuff like that. What would it take to get you back? And where are
Um,
you now, anyway?
so like I said, I still do business. I do a lot of business in Pontiac. My current location is in Waterford, off of Pontiac Lake Road. So I'm only a hop, skip, and jump away. Um, I reside in District 2, and I think what would get me back into the city, to reinvest, because, again, full disclosure and transparency, when we had our restaurant, I lost a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money to me, anyways. We invested over almost 150,000 in a restaurant that
Oh
closed
wow.
down in less than a year. And that's that and also, there was a lot of moving pieces to that because we were part of Flagstar Bank's grant initiative that when they first
I
rolled that
need to get
out.
down. I need to get down with that Black Star Grant. I tried before, but
Yeah.
it's
I
kind
don't
of difficult.
Yeah, a lot has changed with it. So we were the first, my husband and I, we were the first recipients of that grant.
Okay.
And so we basically were the pilot for that.
Okay.
And, there was stipulations around it. It had to be in the heart of downtown. It had to be in like the downtown Pontiac area. Our business plan was scrutinized. It was like make sure the plan was solid, because there was a lot of money at stake, and there was a lot of eyes to make sure that this would work.
Hmm.
And it didn't. It didn't work because it was issues with parking. At that Around that time, they had implemented the parking meters on the street. There was issues with my own, I will say, my own staff. I experienced theft. I
Oh wow.
experienced Yeah, it was not
Yeah. Can't
it
stay in
was
business like that. No.
yeah, it was not easy. It
Yeah.
was, and I will say that we got this money. It was like, boom, here's this money. And then once we had the money, it was like no other supportive services to follow. And
Okay.
so that kind of left us feeling alone in the situation, because we got the money, we went through the processes with the business plan, going through the application process and all of this and whatnot, got the money, but there was no services at that time
Hmm.
to make sure that we were uplifted and could not fail.
What's the name of the business? We have a comment from the Kia Wins. What's the name of your
Okay.
business?
Oh yeah. So my current business is called April's Famous Bakes,
Okay.
but the business that I'm speaking of, it was called the Menagerie Lounge. We were a jazz restaurant, a jazz lounge. We had live music and southern influenced cuisine.
Mm. Well,
But but I don't want to keep talking about my
no,
business
you
because we
good.
got some hot
And we
subjects.
got some hot
But
subjects, and actually, Gil had just texted me. I think he didn't get the link, so I sent it to him again. Hopefully, he can pop on, and we can go ahead and get to it and ask him a couple of things about um, what he got going on as far as his candidacy, what he's trying to bring to the table. Miss
yeah.
TD Luke says she follows you on Instagram. Oh my God, the German chocolate cakes looks delicious.
Ah, thank you so
Yeah,
much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm looking forward to, you mentioned too that you have your business.
Mhm.
Is your business located in the downtown area, or where is your business located?
So actually, I'm right in front of St. George's on in Bloomfield. So,
Okay.
and the problem was I really couldn't find a place. I wanted to be in Pontiac. I couldn't really find a place to do what I wanted to do, far as economicals, and you would think Bloomfield would be more expensive,
Hmm.
but the rent where I'm at is like I couldn't beat it in the location. So it's right in front of St. George's Church where I'm at. So
Okay.
it's on the
Okay.
borderline of Pontiac in Bloomfield. And right there, what I do is it's like a content studio. It's not huge or big at all, but you can do a lot of you can do a lot of talking heads. I hold podcasts. People come in there and they do their podcasts. And it's a central location office. You know what I mean? As far as if I have clients who can come and meet, but I do a lot of my work outside of the office. But
I
it's a good,
love it,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
as we should, as business owners,
yeah,
we can't just limit our net. We gotta cast our net and let it go as far as possible. So I
absolutely.
love it. And I feel you. I think that's another thing that needs to be addressed. And I don't know if that is a government is that if that is something that government can help on. But I know for a while there, when I was, because you did, I never answered your other question. I
Hmm.
apologize. What would it take for me to move back to Pontiac? It is something that I have been considering, but I'm with you on that.
Hmm.
At a time when I was looking to move back again, there was nothing available at a price range that made financial sense. So another issue is that a lot of these landlords
And you
are
got to
not
think
being
about
held.
only, but you not only that, not to cut you off. You also got to think about safety. You get your equipment.
Mhm.
I mean, because, like you said, people have stoves, so you also you got to think about all those things. Small businesses can't afford to have people stealing from them. You know what I
Oh
mean? Or
no.
because it's
Yes.
so hard to replace equipment or inventory, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's hard to replace things. You know what I mean? So especially, yeah, you
Yeah,
know. So
I
yeah,
I get it. I feel you.
yeah,
And I mean, we do have insurance and all of that, but I mean, sometimes our deductibles don't even cover
yeah.
some of those costs, and we had employee theft, which is a whole nother level of mistrust in a
Oh my
business. Like,
God.
people can't even fathom
Mm.
um the stuff that being in a food based business is not for the faint of heart.
Hmm.
A lot of people can't fathom the thought of having to just have $10,000 worth of payroll, in 2 weeks, and not sure if you got $10,000 in your bank account. People don't,
Oh yeah.
people,
And I
because you
only
don't
got
have enough,
myself, and you worried
because
about
you
other
don't have
people. Yeah.
foot traffic of people and a steady flow of people coming in.
Yeah.
So people don't realize those parts of it. And so, I get it. I think that community members who are thinking about running and
Hmm.
joining candidacy should consider, you know, holding these landlords accountable, making things more fair, incentivizing businesses to come back to the city, making these landlords fix their buildings. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I will share another experience that I had
Hmm.
prior to us opening our restaurant, um, down at the other end on Saginaw. We were at 31 North, which is now Alley Cat.
Okay.
Um, the amount of expected repairs, I mean, we literally could not get occupancy in that space just because the landlord did not want to fix the space. Granted, the buildings are old, right? And so there's just some inherited issues with spaces.
Hmm.
But the landlord fought us tooth and nail, nickel and dimed us, um, on simple things. Like we delayed our projected opening in that space by 5 months, just over a hot water tank.
Wow.
And because you're in food world, you have to have enough certain amount of hot water capacity to be able to wash dishes, and it's
Hmm.
based off of how many people are you're expecting to come into your establishment.
Hmm.
So accountability needs to be held at those levels to attract businesses. No business owner wants to already come to the area, take a risk, and then have to take another risk by fixing up somebody else's space.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Because it's like, yeah, you're going backwards at that point. It's so hard to maintain a business. Period. All the expenses on top of it's just a lot to do. So I'm with you with that. But you're right. We got some hot topics going on, and if Gil, come on, brother. I sent you the
Come
link.
on through, Gil.
But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Pontiac WYAC. Okay, I know this is your first time joining. Last year, I did it for the last 4 or 5 months of last year, and we had some great episodes. I had James Gay on here as I don't know if you know him, but as a co-host, a young lady by the name of Amy. Um, I forgot her last name, but Amy, but Amy anyway.
That's all right. We're not going
Yeah,
to charge
yeah,
it
but
to your brain.
yeah. A lot been going on. A
We're
lot
going
been
to
going
charge it
on.
to your heart.
Right, charged to my heart. But and then we had a lot of guests. We had Gil, of course. We had Melanie Rutherford. We had a lot of other community leaders, activists. We had some fun and some controversial. We had some controversial shows, some real
Yeah,
controversial shows.
I'm sure.
Oh, it got kind of crazy for a minute. I got phone calls from downtown. I'm talking about crazy shows like,
Oh
yo,
man,
you
were
need
they
to,
trying to cut your mic off?
you can't cut my mic off. But they was trying to, you know what I mean? Like trying to Yeah, it was crazy. But anyhow, we got deep into the election. You know what I mean? And that was a real hot spot. So basically, now that the election is over, as far as the national federal election, you know what I'm saying? The people got. We looking at what's going on right now, and I'm wondering how. I'm just been sitting back looking at the masses and looking at the reports and looking at everything, and I wonder, people are saying that Trump has gone too far with the DEI, the tariffs, the U.S. aid, ICE, the deportation, and all these types of things. And I'm just sitting back. I got my opinion on it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's doing a pretty good job, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? See, but I'm
So,
not in the. I'm in the minority, but actually I'm in the
right.
majority, quite honestly. But I don't feel like I don't feel like it's a bad job that's going on. What you think?
So okay, so what?
Let's get to it.
Yeah, hey, that's why I'm here, right?
What's up?
Um,
Don't
I
lose no
think that,
customers, but I'm gonna tell you that. Don't lose no customers. Don't say nothing that's gonna, risk it.
oh no,
I'm
no,
messing
never
with you.
that.
I'm messing with
No, 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 never that. But it, you can't please everybody, and
you.
that's
Right.
just what it is in life, right? Like you can have a perspective and somebody you're gonna make somebody mad somewhere,
There
so it
we
really
go.
doesn't matter.
There we go.
But I do want to say that the times are really questionable. They're really hard, and I think that we're in it now, so we don't have a choice, right? So Donald Trump is our president. That's what it is. So these next 4 years, we're just gonna have to buckle down and see what happens. And I do feel like I personally know I personally know that I don't fit the tax bracket
Mhm.
that Donald Trump supports. Um, the tax bracket that Donald Trump supports is the top 1%. He looks out, and that's my opinion. He looks out, and he will continue to look out for his top 1%. The one thing that I will say about Donald Trump is that he's like smart dumb at the same time. He's smart in the sense that um, he's smart in the sense that he knows his areas of weakness, right? So he surrounds himself with people who are smarter than him. He
Mhm.
surrounds himself with people who have more money than him. So he's smart and dumb at the same time. Dumb in the sense that he has no filter, and I feel like as a leader, rhetoric only carries you so far before um, our adversaries and people people start to question his credibility,
Mhm.
and actions, what he says and his actions are two separate things. He hasn't been in office long enough. He did come through with the deportations and stuff, which is um somebody for me, I feel like that's some bull crap, but
Really?
yeah,
Why?
I
Why?
do.
Why is that?
And I
Why
have
is
I
that?
have many thoughts on it. I do feel
Okay,
so. I will
let's
say,
unpack that right quick.
okay, so we'll
Yeah.
just we'll start with the topic of immigration, right?
Okay.
Um, we are People don't realize how much the American economy relies so much on immigration, and we are putting ourselves in a position where we're becoming financially irresponsible. So the people who voted Donald Trump in voted him in because he promised lower groceries, lower this, and we're going to make everything affordable and this and that and that.
Mm.
So now he's going back, and we're adding tariffs, and we're seeing everything that he said that was supposed to make life easier on American people, because supposedly life was rough under the Biden administration. Life, groceries, and inflation was higher, and all of this. Um, And everything that he campaigned on, he is now going back on. He's not making things affordable. He's only making things higher in cost. We go to the grocery store with these tariffs on our construction material, tariffs on our groceries, tariffs on manufacturing is not a good thing. Cars are going to be even higher than they were. Groceries are going to be even higher than they were. So
Okay.
part of it, immigration works in the U.S. because, and I hate to say it this way, but it is the facts and it is the truth. Immigrants do the jobs that no other Americans are willing to do. Americans are the ones that are working at McDonald's protesting, wanting $15 an hour. Immigrants come in, they work hard, they keep their head down, and they do the jobs and they do them for less. And
Well,
they do the jobs that nobody else wants to do.
well, I feel you. I understand your perspective because that's many's perspective, and I respect that. I respect your perspective. But my stance on the deportation, ICE, and the deportation of the immigrants is that, especially within the last couple of years, how the borders were just kind of just flooded with the amount of people that were here. Of course, there's always been some illegal immigrants here, but people seem to forget that, that Obama was real tough. He was actually putting the peoples in Guantanamo Bay in cages. You know what I'm saying? People tend to forget about that, but I believe that it's a good thing that the deportations are happening because a lot of illegal or a lot of gangs are being broken up, are scattered and being sent back. And yeah, there is a perspective of that. There are immigrants that do jobs that Americans, quote unquote, don't want to do. But if you kind of get those immigrants back to their homeland, and I got a couple of different perspectives too. Just want to drop them quickly. But if you get them back to the land that they're supposed to be or where they're from, those jobs still need to be done. And what's going to happen is going to raise, okay, Americans will do those jobs. But it just has to be at a wage that Americans would do them at. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a give and take. And plus them actually being here, they're reaping a lot of benefit that are not due to them because they're not actual American citizens. So I'm all for immigrants or people being here. It's just being here the right way. You know what I'm saying? The right way. It's just a right way and a wrong way, and just having the floodgates open where a lot of people can come and just reap a lot of the benefits. And here's another thing that I really don't like. I'm gonna just be straight up. I see a lot of protest. I see a lot of protest people and they protesting with the Mexican flag or the El Salvadorian flag or the Venezuelan flag. And that's cool. But it's like they're kind of almost spitting on America, the place they want to stay. You know what I'm saying? This is the place that you want to stay, but you kind of spitting on America and trying to promote it. So if it's so good and you're waving the Venezuelan flag and the Mexican flag and the whatever flag or the China flag, it's a lot, not just Latin American people, but it's a lot of
Well,
people from China. If it's so good, why don't you just go back? You know what I mean? If you're waving those flags, if you propping those people, if you know what I'm saying, it's like, I'm not going to be
well,
protesting waving a Chinese flag if I want to stay in America.
well. I will say that my perspective is different. Although I do
Mm-hmm.
respect yours, I do think that when the protests that we're seeing, I think it's great. There's strength in numbers, and I think that the flag waving is happening because there's a sense of pride in where you come from.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, they live in the United States, and let's not forget that we are the United States, and Mexico is part of America. So, if we can't
What New
call
Mexico?
ourselves,
What New Mexico or Mexico?
America, so we cannot forget that just because we have borders around Canada and Mexico, that they're still part of America.
They're
There's
part
North
of North
America.
America. They're part of North
Yes,
America.
yes.
Absolutely.
And so we can't call ourselves can't call ourselves United States of America if we're not willing to create a clear path of citizenship. I know,
Absolutely.
I know, I know, I know many people who, and including my grandmother, because I'm part Mexican.
Okay.
Um, I remember growing up and witnessing my grandmother um, becoming a U.S. citizen.
Mm-hmm.
She knew and had the process was not easy for her. She got deported a couple of times during that process. And if you ain't got the money, you got to bootstrap it, work the odd jobs and all of that to create the path towards citizenship. And the path towards citizenship costs money. So it's not an easy thing. And so I have a different perspective because I've seen it. I'm only second generation born in the U.S.
Okay.
And I think that to your point, I do think that there needs to be reform. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be reform. I'm going to move my computer and talk at the same time. Hey,
Okay.
Gil, because I need to plug in.
Hey,
Hey, Gil, what's going on, buddy?
Ah,
Glad you
two of
came
my
in.
favorite people in the same room.
We were just getting into the debate, but hey,
Okay.
I think you saved us because we were about to really get into it.
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
we're getting it's getting good.
But I'm glad you popped in, Gil, man. How you doing, brother?
Listen, man. First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for allowing me in this space to share on your platform today. Man, I have been well. I am very excited
Mm-hmm.
about finding solutions in this time.
Mhm.
Good. Good.
And when I say excited, for those who know, you have a very broad view of people who watch you on times and that may not know me. I am a PX son. When it's time to roll the sleeves up, like that's the time I wake up. I'm not one of them, you know, individuals that when it's quiet, I get nervous. I'm one of them.
Mm.
And so with everything that's been happening, everything that I've been hearing with April, and she is spot on, right? Like you I'm ready. Like
Okay.
I'm excited to have this conversation. I'm
Oh.
excited to dive in, you know, like let's get it. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
um
Gil, man, first off,
yeah.
I remember what we was talking. I was telling April about it earlier this year, like the beginning of the year. We were talking,
hmm
and I
hmm
asked you. I said, "Hey, what are you thinking about a run?" And you said, if Tim doesn't run, which we all thought he was at the moment,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, and
For
you
sure.
was like, if he don't run, then you will go ahead. So when he
Yeah.
announced that he wasn't running, I kind of remembered that conversation. I was gonna call you, but I was like, I know this is something that caught him by surprise. So I'm pretty sure you had to. It wasn't a right
Listen.
away, you know. So how did you come to the conclusion? Like, okay, Tim is out. What should I do? Did you have to think about this long, or what was up? How did that
I
go
went on a
down?
fast. In all full transparency, I went on a fast. I began to I I talked one I talked to my wife,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my concierge. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, that's the out not I'm not even say outside of being my wife, that and that's my best friend as well. So it's like, she's not gonna tell me what I want to hear, even though just the fact of just being in this position to be able to help at this level, like know what you know and be able to express that, it doesn't always mean that's the right time to do something, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so went on a fast. I had talked to my wife, and she said, when you get back from DC, whatever you want to do, we're gonna make it happen. I went out to DC intentionally representing Pontiac because it was the time that all of like the congressional folks, Senate folks, new folks were coming to DC. We had all these executive orders going out. Um, my Latino community was a little nervous, to say the least. Um, they were talking about Department of Education shutting it down, closing it down. So everything that I had been involved in Pontiac had a threat to it, right? Like had a threat, um, if if our small businesses don't receive the federal grant funding, SB, I mean, it was just like a trickle effect. It's like somebody coming to your house and just tearing everything up and saying that, and then telling you what you're gonna do about it. And I wanted to go face to face, and so they can put a face with Pontiac and say that when you having these conversations, just remember the fact that we not who we used to be. We ain't coming. We ain't going back to the emergency manager um, state. And so, well received. Had a chance to talk to some folks who we don't see eye to eye. um, and then I had a chance to kind of see what the plan was,
Right.
and look at it, and then okay, how do we begin to rally around each other, right? And so as I was doing that, I was waiting to see a response from individuals who had already said, they wanted to engage and lead at this level. And I didn't hear anything. And I said, okay. Um, maybe my fourth day in to DC, and was, listening to what they were saying. And if you read Project 25, like I read it, right? I read it. A couple of my friends, we read it just because when it came out, we were like, oh, this is the playbook. And even though people were denying it, either way, it had too much attention for us not to look at it
Right.
or what could happen. Thank God we did. Thank God we did. And I was able to talk with some friends in Ohio who were experiencing, they already have legislation there where it defines that if you're a public institution or school and your schools are being underutilized, that they can put a charter school in there, and as a public school, you have to pay for it.
Okay.
I was like, what? Well, that's where the vice president just came from.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that type of trip, right? And so it kind of got my eyes going and going. Um, before I left, I had a chance to talk with Tim because even though I'm very supportive. I'm supportive of him. We have different ideas at time of how we're going to get to the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we had to learn. We had to work through. I spent the first year and a half with them, helping them transition in. And so I wanted to look in his eyes and make sure that that's what he wanted to do. So I had that conversation. And then when I came back, I started just kind of looking at what was going on in the city. How effective can I be? Then I started just writing down to do, what if I do it, if I don't,
Right.
why should I? Took a couple more days, and it was like it was plain. It was plain as day. One Pontiac, one future. I was like, one Pontiac, one future. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we are. No. I've been in every silo that make up the city of Pontiac at a very high level. School district, law enforcement, and my last was the municipality in that transition. And I saw a circle of connecting us all. And because I know the rules of engagement in each and every last one of those, and I spent the last 2 decades working in them, that's what a mayor does. He bands that all together. And with the experience of just working in budgets,
Yeah.
$100 million budgets,
Well, let me ask.
forensic audits, holding people accountable, so it became very evident that this is something I should be doing right now.
Well, let me ask you, Tim, because I said Tim. Let me ask you, Gil.
Man, I must sound. I know I'm
Right,
good.
right,
No, I'm good. I'm good.
right. Let
If I sound as
right, right,
politically correct as that dude, I'm
right.
good.
But now check this. So we have so far, as ever I know, is you, Gil Garrett,
Mm-hmm,
Kermit Williams, Mike McGinnis. I
mm-hmm,
don't know if anybody else have joined the race yet, but I'm
mm-hmm.
thinking that's all that's really officially put it out there. What is the clear cut difference between your styles? I mean, I know, and they're all, all three of you guys are good people. I know,
Oh yeah.
I think I know you more better than everybody. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
what's the clear cut difference for the people? That stark difference. You know what I mean? Like say that different from you to them in
I've
government.
been the middleman, right? And when you say the middleman, I've been the person that you go to get the information. I'm not the one that you see deliver it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had just started really getting into that more of that space when I became elected official and having to lead at, the various levels. And so when you're the one that's boots on the ground and you're the one that's, if there's a certain crime or certain thing that's happening in a certain neighborhood, hey, listen, can you go, can we work out a solution there? If there is a issue in the schools, I get those phone calls. If there is, I Central, let's just take, I've been the president of Central for the last 5 years. Central Multicultural is the largest Latino nonprofit that we have in Oakland County.
Mm-hmm.
When things happen, I'm the go-to person.
Mm-hmm.
And being a transition of, again, this current administration, the difference is I'm the middleman. And so I want to cut that out because there's a lot of red tape when people are given information versus when they have to be political about it. And Pontiac is a space, and I know the difference with me and them is that people know me to be whom I am. So I don't have to come up with this special platform to reintroduce myself because I've been in spaces for so long and operate them good or bad. Like I'm gonna take the good, the bad, the indifference. People gonna understand that my integrity and my reasonable of who I am, they can take my word and they can go on that. And we need decision making at this point. Like we need to band together our schools and our municipality. And when I say band together, people cliche it all the time. Or, people come into your city for your schools. And they do, right? Families do. That's the first thing they look at is your schools.
Right.
And people cliche it for a platform, but do they really know how to connect the dots? Like, do they really know how to look in both budgets and say, okay, we don't necessarily need a DPW full building standalone when we have property over at the district and all we can get them to do is to go into shared services with an MOU? Like we already have the land is already picked out where we want to build it. It's going to take 9 months, right? Like right now situations.
Okay.
When you say we want to do a rec program through the city, which is something Tim and I was able to do within the first 6 months when I was over as the Pontiac School District President at that particular point in time. We did a joint MOU, but then we also allowed all of our schools to be a part, and we collaborated that through PAL, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office Police Athletic League, that allowed the charter schools to participate, which those are all of our students as well. And so that I can stay neutral because I'm the president of the board, but we have to get all of our kids active. We used the middle ground of PAL and Pontiac Rec. It was just starting to come up with a holistic approach for the whole city. That's active right now.
Okay.
But you got to know how to do that. Instead of just saying, oh, all of our youth, the city needs to provide youth rec sports. But how do you do it? What are the rules behind it?
Okay.
And so I think the clear distinction is the fact that I just know how to do it, and the relationships, and depending on how where things are stalled out at, because we do a lot of that, I have the ability to go in another direction. And when you know the ins and outs, and you the go to for those who don't necessarily always have the boots to the ground, it doesn't mean that they don't. It's I've just learned it in my law enforcement experience is that when you are active, you're the go-to person. And then there's that responsibility of accountability. Who's more accountable or been in the eye scope of what we saying accountability is than a police officer? And so I'm not nervous by that. I'm not intimidated because you looking at me with cameras. I'm not intimidated because you have a difference of opinion. I'm not intimidated because you are hurting because something happened, but then you engage in me differently because I'm a police officer. But then once you see the humanity in me, then you instantly say, okay, we can get to the solution of why you here, right? Like it's about connecting with people on that level. And politics for me was just a means to get to an end because there were a lot of things happening in this electoral space as we see what's going on now. That's because of individual greed that stopped us from being who we are. And
Let me ask you. Well, April, do you have anything to add or ask, Gil?
No, no, I'm excited. I mean, I think that Gil is a worthy candidate, and I can't wait to learn more about his policy. As with the other candidates, for me, the future of Pontiac is is now. It's important now more than ever that we get it right, especially with our political climate, with costs going through the roof, with costs going through the roof in every sector. Like Gil said, he's worked in different silos. You know, there's issues with law right now. There's issues with economic, and there's just these next 4 years, the Pontiac's mayor is going to have so much that they have to bring, because we're a community with the household median income, and that doesn't reflect everybody in Pontiac, but this is the facts. You know, we have a household median income of what, like 20 to 30,000 in
mhm,
our city. And we, for a long time, have had this narrative of poor Pontiac.
mhm.
And for me, I want to see what candidates, how are we going to change this narrative? What are we going to do? What are the steps to change this narrative? Why do we as a city always have to be the dumping ground for all the things that the other communities do not want in their cities? Um, you know, and so go ahead,
Good.
Gil.
That's
Go
good.
ahead, Gil.
That's yeah. That's pretty valid. Go ahead, Gil. That's pretty
Listen,
valid. Yeah.
listen. I've been in the city since I was 19. Let me just start there because sometimes you gotta when you start off these conversations. I'm 50, right? Like I may not have been born and raised, but I was groomed by some of the best, and I watched it. So these are things I've seen with my own eyes. So you see a lot when you are working. So let's get to let's get to the first question you asked, and you said why. Well, go backwards because this is when it gets under my skin because you people can't really talk bad about Pontiac in front of me, like, and
Yeah.
not that you are, but I'm just saying people want to make us the dumping ground because if we ever really realize that we have always been the standing foundation, we ain't the heart of Oakland County for no reason. Like
Mhm.
it just became to a point where they like, okay, they on the losing end of this thing. Let's keep them losing. If you don't have leaders, if the leaders are saying, woe is me, then it gives people to look at us that way. So anytime, the question is, how do we get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Each and every last one of us have to start speaking life into whatever we're doing. So when I've done Trust the Process or Pontiac Proud, or you see me repping somebody else's gear, or Yak Town Don't Back Down, and I'm taking it out on the planes and all that, like, that's it. Like, people know me, the fact that even on my national level seats that I sit on, people thought I actually went to high school here. I got people who here think I went to high school here. So that's the first thing. We gotta start repping it and believing it. But it starts in the buildings where these leaders are at. A lot of individuals come here, take from here, and then they go.
That's right.
And then people look at that as, oh, you being disparaging to them. No, I'm not. Listen, boo, get your money, but spend some time here first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have no problem with you. Listen, I'll pay. I love quality. I'll pay, but put something back here. And for the individuals who are born and raised here at times, and I say this to them, this is not something that I haven't said before. This home, this gonna be here when they take you off your pedestal. You're gonna come back here and have to rebuild yourself. So how
Right.
about you start, giving back here, and you
I
can start
believe
everything.
part of it is workforce development, which I know is a hot issue, and it's a hot topic. As we know it, that's something
April,
that's
what is
part
it?
of what. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about that. What is workforce development?
Workforce development, to me, in my opinion,
Mhm.
is when we have those young, impressionable minds that are looking to look at what their next steps are in life after they um, graduate from high school.
Right.
Um, those are crucial times where their mind is moldable, and they're living in Pontiac, and what's happening is because we've had a lack of workforce development, meaning that they have these ideas, they go elsewhere to get the education to implement their ideas and even have careers in their ideas or their passion. We don't have anything that draws them back to our city. We don't
So
have
let me.
anything. I'm sorry. What? Let me just finish this thought.
Okay.
So workforce development to me is not just about an internship. It's not just about making sure that we have viable solutions for our students to go and do their interns. It goes further in saying, okay, if you go through this program with us, your commitment back to the city should be maybe 2-year contract. We help you get this. We help you flourish in this passion or in this sector that you want to go into. You should bring that back to the city. And that's kind of where we've gone wrong, in my opinion, is that, yeah, there has been some workforce development options like GM has had, and what's that other company, OG. They've had programs and outreach, and I know that there's STEM initiatives out there, but our students, what's happening is that they are going off to college, going to finding their jobs, and moving elsewhere. They're not coming back to Pontiac.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so can I? Okay, because I can't do this. I cannot do this. This
Take,
is,
take
All
it.
right, loosen
oh
it
God,
up. Let me go get my water.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Listen, and for anybody who don't know me, who's watching this and what I just did, listen, you'll get to know me during this campaign trail or whatever that we're on right now. But I'm amongst friends and family, and I'm just not the guy that I can give you that, right? This ain't that time. So I really need you to pay attention to what's going on and what I'm about to say right now. People throw that word workforce out, workforce development, they throw it out and April, you know exactly. I know you know exactly. That was rhetorical. I didn't think. I know you know what workforce development is. The problem why it doesn't workforce development is not successful here. It's not that we don't have we kids graduate out of culinary school here. Kids graduate out of mechanic school here. Kids kids have opportunities to go do work, have summer jobs. I have two kids in photography right now that make at least $3,000 a month in Pontiac, taught from a summer program that I have. It's not that they don't have that. It's that as adults, we haven't provided a safe ground for them to begin to keep budding and growing in that. And so when April has a restaurant and she feels like she's out on her own, and then she has workers who ain't never known how to host or anything, so she got to do the training over here. She got to cook. Then the husband got to come in and go. I watched it firsthand. Is if the city doesn't, if the leadership, if we don't have people to come in to train and folks who want to do it, want to train, like you got to start motivating people. Like people need motivation. People need to understand their value and their worth. And sometimes we don't have enough empathy for that as a people. We lost that because it became the dog eat dog world in a sense. And so to answer the question again about the workforce development and what we have, what I feel as a mayor, my job is not only to find those individuals who want to give those opportunities, but the first thing is it's just starting at home to let the people who work here and been here and been selling cakes and pies out the basement and doing everything that they need, like an April who started from been bouncing all over, is to say that I'm just here for you as a city. I'm not here to listen. Your business plan, brilliant. That's between you and the bank. But I got to create some foot. I got to create some foot traffic or opportunity for you to be able, so people can see it on a larger scale, so you can build some consistency. My job is not to, because I don't like the way April, she put 2 chocolate chip cookies in the bag instead of 3, and so I'm upset with her because another person over here, they put 4. No, that's not my business. That's not our business as a municipality.
Right.
So workforce development can work, and it's been working. But what our city needs right now is to take what we've done, i.e. 2-3 years ago when they were doing small business events. We need to create a space from the municipality side that these people can come together. Those who want to go to brick and mortar, and those who want to step up to go out and on an online usage, be able to help them do that. It's to provide gateways. And we make it personal. We've made it personal depending on who is who and what is what. And that's not the right, that we cannot survive like that. So that's why I basically asked the question about workforce development, because April's going to be able to explain it a little bit more better, so I could be able to take this tie off, and then we can really get to meaning and what we need, right? Like what we need. I'm specific to Pontiac.
Right.
You said it earlier, Asante. See, y'all don't think I was listening. You said it earlier. I don't want to be like everybody else because I already have an identity.
Ma'am.
As Pontiac, I already have an identity. Like if you want to talk about the historical perspective of entrepreneurship, like when the plants were here and they was thriving, it was folks who like jeans, ribs, like they were still skills trades, working on the electricity at the, gearing electricity at the SAP. Like we have it. That is. And we can't move away from that because we see something over here shiny.
Right.
But we also can't be afraid to look at something because it's shining over there to see if it can help us shine a little bit brighter on it over here as well. And I think leadership, bringing people together is the way to do that. And then when it doesn't happen, or egos get in the way, or whatever it could be able to pivot without being offensive to get the whole to where we need them to be. And so I am the platform. I don't have cute words to tell you about
Yeah, I think.
You know what I'm saying? I just
sorry.
don't like no, I'm just saying, like, there's things that I've wrote, like if I had key points that if somebody wanted to talk to me, is direct accountability.
Mm-hmm.
It's proven leadership. It's community
So,
first. So all of those things tie into a space, and no excuses, just results. Like it's just no,
mhm,
like holding us accountable to not just saying a 90-day rule of what you're going to do in the first 90 days, but like I say, I went to DC on my own dime. I wasn't on the school district. Nobody paid for that because because these people were writing changing the rules in the middle of the game. And if anybody's going to be affected by that, it's the place that I love, city, Pontiac, and us.
mhm.
And if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And that's
Ooh,
just how it's been. And we have representation there to do a great job in the Senate and the Congress, and I hold nothing from them, but ain't nothing like standing in some people's faces and helping them, holding them up,
Yeah.
because it's tough for them,
Mhm.
So it is having that workforce development, but it's creating us empathy to making sure that these kids understand. Because when I started questioning the kids and stopped going to the adults got upset and started telling me the kids what they talking about. I'm like, how you these seniors? So that's a real thing. So we need to tap back into our youth and not be afraid of who they are and who and how and what we made them, because they didn't ask to be here.
right.
And when they tell you something, like, we got to be able to say, okay, I know how to work with that. We had a 13-year-old that's probably going to go to prison for the rest of his life.
Wow.
Right? We all know what the incident is.
Yeah.
And when you watch that interview, it will break your heart. Because if one man would have talked to him about the things that he was going through and experiencing, we wouldn't be talking about him on the news.
This leads me to what I wanted to ask you
Mhm.
going forward. Crime. Okay. With you having a
Mhm.
background in law enforcement,
Mhm.
and bringing that into the mayoral position.
Mhm.
Because me and April actually talked a little bit about crime previous before you jumped on. What would be
Mhm.
your solutions in trying to remedy or stem it, or scale back? Or I know the city of Pontiac, we had different programs and initiatives
Mhm.
seem to work a little, maybe not. You know what I'm saying? So what would you do different to help the crime,
Pon-
the crime
I,
problem?
I've used, and that's a very good question. And I'm glad you asked it. And I've used Pontiac as the example. Pontiac is going to show up when things are going left. The problem is we don't show up when we start seeing them go left. And so there's not one place on the planet that does not have crime.
Right.
So that's the first thing. We can't paint a narrative as if that crime is only happening in Pontiac.
Right.
No, it's not. What happens though in other communities is they they talk more, and they have more of a, let's just say, they gonna talk to their cousin faster than we talk to ours. I'm putting it just as plain, because I work in this. I hear the interviews after something happens. There's always somebody that knows something is about to go down, but they don't say anything. But then till after it happens, or he or she, they did come and talk to me. So the answer is that when we're having these events and we're having these talks in the parks, and we the small business gatherings, put out a atmosphere of welcoming, put out an atmosphere of, hey, how you doing, and really pay attention when they say, I'm not doing well.
Right.
It's not there is not a This is a human problem. Like, this is something you're going to have people come to you and say, "Oh, put more police on the corner. If we had more police officers," and then no, when you have more police officers, it gives the interpretation that people feel safe.
Mhm.
Don't make you safe.
Right.
Right.
It. How many of us went? How many of us know that our favorite restaurant or our favorite Coney Island is somewhere where we know where the dope house is? You still going to go to the Coney Island.
Right.
Even though you know for a fact your uncle just came from the dope house. You're in a very dangerous situation right now that could go left anytime. But you're going to get something to eat. Because at your point, and it's a sad thing in our communities, in our specifically our black and brown communities, where we feel like when something like that is happening, we don't have to say anything about it. So we got to be able to have these type of conversations and really address it. Like I know other candidates and other elected officials steer away from these conversations because I'm not telling you what you want to hear. I'm telling us what we need to do because it's on us.
Right.
The reason why April
Which
can be
is
on the
that's what.
west side and nothing happens to April is because we was going in there getting our ice cream, sitting out in the front, and April was just as happy to have us. And when the kids came through on the bikes and this fake 5 bikes,
Mhm.
giving everybody ice cream, not that she had to, and everybody felt safe. So the word got out on the west side. Hey, April,
Yeah.
don't play no games. You do whatever you want. Don't go there. Nothing happened. You understand what I'm saying? Like she created an atmosphere that we could come to and be okay with that. And that didn't do anything. Frosty Treat was still open. All them other places were still open. She didn't hurt it. She didn't, they didn't stop. We just have to get to a point that we can all be who we need to be. And it shouldn't be intimidating that April opened up on Huron and that we only need one ice cream spot, if that makes sense. And when you talk about, and again, the crime, if there are individuals in specific areas where things are happening, then you target that one area. You just don't blanket open up and just say it's an open season on the whole city. And so
Mhm.
we're very specific here and intentional in the agency that I work for now and in the agency that I worked for in the past.
Mhm.
That when something is happening in the area, my job was to go in and look at it and find out who the players were and then dissect it from the inside out without interrupting the neighborhood as a whole.
I
We
get
got to
that.
we got to begin to talk more.
Yeah,
Like when
I
you
agree,
know what I
Gil.
mean? So that's the crime piece to that. Like that's the stopping the crime is us. If you
Hmm.
want to, to Lauren it. And I want to say this, and April, I'll let you have it. We have a 93% capture rate here over the national average. A crime is solved in Pontiac if it is anything of have anything to do with assaults and things of that nature. We typically have a suspect within 72 hours.
Wow.
So we unmatched in Oakland County. We are the safest. And
Hmm.
our citizens do a good job with matching the dots. And they will now hit the streets when it's okay and we looking for somebody and we do get the tips in. So, the perception that's just a perception. But as you see, people, businesses are moving and came around because of that. And don't think that they ain't looking at it again. We just got one thing that we gotta tackle and get an ordinance around and quit playing games with it. And that's that cannabis and that marijuana that people voted for. And we need to put ordinances, get the clerk's office, get everything out, and let the chips fall where they may, because that's the one thing I believe that's really kind of holding us up in a sense, because people are holding on to the buildings, expectations, and things of that nature. But go ahead, April. I'm sorry about that.
No,
And
you're
thank you for giving me
fine.
that extra time.
No, no, you're fine, Gil. No, there was just I. So I have like short but long term memory. So like when things pop in my head, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh wait, and then it's like if I don't write it down, it goes in and then it goes back out.
I got
Um,
you.
but yeah, as far as crime in Pontiac, I will say that there was some things that you mentioned. The onus, we have to take responsibility, and I said this earlier, uh, that when Sante and I were talking, I was saying the ownership. We can't keep passing the buck to everybody else. The
Hmm.
ownership, eventually, we
Hmm.
have to look within ourselves, and then we also have to go back to that village mentality, right? It's not, everybody wants to be so one track mind. So I only care about the people around me and nobody else matters, right?
Yeah.
And we lost that caring for the neighbor,
Hmm.
caring and just looking out for people around us.
Hmm.
So we allow crime to happen when we lost that village mentality. We've lost our mentorship programs for our kids. You know, we have some out there. We have mentors. We have
Hmm.
great mentors. You're a great mentor. We have mentors out there. But when we went through emergency management, a lot of that funding got cut that was there to help kids and keep them off the street, which
Right.
is why we're talking about youth and recreation right now. It is essential to have those things in our community because that's the difference of a kid, having a safe
Mm.
place. You mentioned safe places. Where are our safe places in Pontiac? We have too many single parents out there who don't know where their kids are, what their kids are doing while they're at work because we're in survival mode. Our community is in survival mode. So our kids are being left behind because they don't have that extra layer of mentorship and that care, that TLC that is needed to, because their minds are impressionable, to steer them in that direction.
Let me ask you this, April. I gotta give you a little pushback.
Okay.
Gotta give you a little pushback. Because that means when you say the mentorships have like people paid to, like they were mentor programs that people were getting paid to do, etc.
Mhm.
But I watched you on a lot of occasions. Matter of fact, just this weekend, just this weekend, I watched somebody that you helped. They were at an event at Central in our office. You weren't even there. April's Bakery was there. And so I, I said that to say I want to add to that point. Some of us have to stop being greedy.
Mm.
Like April was nowhere. I was like, I hit it up, right? I did. Because I
I
went over there.
appreciate
We had
that.
this, right? But I'm like, okay, but where April at though? You know what I'm saying? What Jane? You know what I mean? Like I'm looking and I'm like, come on now. And that's
I
your
was there in
name.
spirit.
Right. But I'm just saying though, how you were able to mentor that person to carry themselves the way that you would carry yourself to allow your name. That's your brand.
Right.
People coming through, they don't know that I know you. And she was just as happy and just as joyous to be doing what she was doing. And she was in a room full of other people. Like, and it was at Center Multicultural. We was doing small business, right?
Mhm.
And she had some of her little baked goods there and things of that nature. We have it.
Mhm.
We have it. We
We do.
do. And we have the mentorships.
We
But
do.
some
We do.
people get overlooked because they're not on the popular list.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And so I just wanted to encourage you on that because that was just this weekend. And when you say safe spaces, right? When leadership fails to get together to create the safe space, because again, because they may not know the rules of engagement for each party to be able to make that safe space, they begin to make these promises. Oh, we need a whole $32 million youth rec center, which I believe in. Listen, I believe in nice and new things, but I also believe in using some of the things that we do have. And if you don't put your ego aside and you don't put, and I had to learn that as well. Make no mistake about it. Like I say, I grew up in this, good and indifferent, faults and all. I had to allow someone's personality to be who they are. And if it doesn't jeopardize the integrity of what we're trying to do for the kids, ignore the personality and find out what they bring to the table.
But do you think that the rec center or the community center is a good idea?
I think it is a good idea to have a central, I call them central hubs. You can call it a rec center, youth center. I just call them central hubs because that's what they were, because the schools used to be that. But a central hub on that side of town, because you have a very diverse culture over in that Glenwood space, right? Like in District 6 over there. And so you get to do some things over there. And then we have Coleman Yoakum, who's doing what he's doing over on the west side. It's the same thing. We just don't call it. We just the municipality ain't leading that build. Coleman Yoakum Agency is, right? And then we have the same thing that's happening over on the Old Boys and Girls Club with Bishop Lee, right? People just don't know that's what they want to, they think is different, but it's still the same thing. They central hubs. And so specifically having one over there, I do. Do I think it needs to be $64 million with a pool? No, because you have a pool over at the high school that they tried to get. Okay, I'm about to be. No, I'm not.
Go in, Gil. Go in.
They had a pool over there that contractors tried to get $16 million from us to build, to redo. Mm-hmm. When I was there, I came in, we brought some other folks in, we did an analysis of what they were doing over there. They were able to bring it down to less than $2.5 million. And because people couldn't get their kickbacks, and because people couldn't get whatever they wanted to do, because right now they looking at $32 million that they mismanaged over in that school district. Mm-hmm. And they thought I was crazy. Oh, I'm just a bully. Oh, he doesn't know how to talk to people. No, I do not know. I will never accept somebody mismanaging $32 million. You have lost your mind. So no, I'm not politically correct when it comes to taking money from a city like Pontiac that we worked so hard to get that bond passed. You mismanage it, and I'm supposed to be your friend? I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, we're in the elitist circle, so let's just think they made a mistake. That's a $32 million mistake.
You can't recover from that too easy.
And then how we gonna bounce back? And then you want me to go back and ask the citizens, because now that I'm here we are with Connect the Dots. And April, you sent me in this direction. You told me go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Let it go.
And now we having a conversation about what happened. I have to look at this from a whole city approach. I'm just not responsible for the school district anymore. When I was over there and we uncovered it just back in October, it wasn't too far long ago. And we wanted to transition from the people and from the people who were responsible and find them responsible. Well, they had cliques and organizations that belong to each other together. And we need to bring this person, bring them back under this so they can be able to retire and be able to do this over here. And you like, but what about, so we ain't nobody going to prosecute?
Ain't nobody going to jail.
I took that hat off and put my other hat on. And I went to the Attorney General. And I took the case to the Attorney General. That's the difference between me and a lot of individuals who may want to be in this space, because I have an expertise that I don't have to play Mother May I.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this.
That part. Can I answer your question?
Sure.
I feel like I answered it.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you did. I think
all right, I'm just trying to, I listen, you get amongst family.
Yeah, I
you
think
get amongst family. It's different. You know what I'm saying? I can talk, right? Like, and I told my wife, I said, I was putting my shirt and tie on, and she told me I owe her $1. She said, "You gonna take that off?
You gonna take it off?" Hey, you didn't even make it into it deep. You just.
I don't even think I made 10 minutes, man.
You did.
You said you're going to take that off.
You didn't. But I guess what I'm about to ask you here is.
Yeah, yes, sir. Come on, man. Let's do it.
So Pontiac is a strong mayoral form of government.
Yes, sir.
You're dealing with a council.
Yes, sir.
And we've seen the last couple of administrations happen where, things can start off pretty good, with the working relationship with the council, and things end up not working too good with the relationship with the council, as far as the mayor is concerned. How would you work together with? It might be some new seats, new people, and with the council coming up. Who knows?
Glad you asked.
But right. So, how would your relationship be? What would your leadership strategy be with that? You know,
I'm a collaborative leader. I'm a collaborative leader, and I'm not going to ask you to do something that I wouldn't do. And I'm not going to put the onus on what I need to do on you, and vice versa. So one of the communication problems because this would be my fourth, let me see, is a part of being with Mayor Grimels. I was on his transition team and then actually working with him for that year and a half, getting that experience. Other than that, I've always been on the council, the legislative side, helping them with the CDCs and handling issues in their respective areas, always working in that security or rec space on the executive side with programming, larger city programming, right? So what I found to be the issue is just communication. And communication in the sense of, you can't give somebody something at the last minute and then expect them to make a decision on it. And then if you do that and then they make a decision and then it goes wrong, then blame them for, and I'm not saying that this happened in this current administration, but then blame them for not being able to make a sound decision. But you gave it to them at the last minute. And then from the council side, is not knowing that your job is not to be an at-large member. Your job, and not to just beat on the table, get my road done. I need this over here. Your job is to, really to legislate the ordinances, the policies. You need to look at what we do on a day-to-day basis. Our ordinances lining up with how we're saying we're supposed to deliver services. So some people, they come into the role of, I'm a small mayor of District 2. And in District 2, we should be able to have da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That ain't your job, buddy. Your job is, if there's blight or you recognizing a building where a business is that building open without a license? And if it is or isn't, you're to go check. And then you are the person that business owner or whoever is doing whatever in that community is the person they need to see first. It ain't the code enforcement person. Well, call code enforcement and send them over there and shut them down. No, it ain't you the representation of that. And we've gotten away from that because we built these little mayors in these little districts that get voted by 100, 200 people because people have decided to just be very mute to the municipality or the electoral process and just gonna go live their life. You begin to be a collaborative leader. So let me bring this in. What I will do is we'll take the pressing need of what are the things that's pressing us right now. We know it's the GERS, marijuana, top two things. So you going in talking about those top two things, right? That affects the city. So you get as much information about that and you start having conversations with individuals and find out what they know about it, what they don't know about it. You bringing them up to speed, get them what they need. So from the first day you take office and you bring that first agenda around, it's not going to be a shock to them that they have to have this type of conversation. Because if you ultimately bring something to them around those two issues, they haven't been able to follow it. I've been going to council every day, virtually or in person, for the last 5 years, and I got confused about. And I'm a retiree. Am I getting the money or am I not? One day I'm getting it, but then I'm not. And then,
yeah, that's been on the board for a long time.
Right.
I watch a lot of the meetings, and I'm seeing it's just.
So you have to with folks that's coming in new. who's never ever been a part, if they've never been a part of this type of process, have to use Robert Rules of Order and things, and you have to educate them now. Like these are conversations that no matter who's running, I'm having conversations with these people now. I don't who you running against and things of that nature. Listen, at the end of the day, we all have to work together. Like when the elections are already done. Yeah. Most people who are inexperienced in elections, them the ones that go out and do the dirty stuff and all that kind of crap. People tired of that, right? Like, but for the most part, and I'm not saying don't defend yourself, but I'm saying don't waste a lot of time on that. Mm-hmm. I'm spending more of my time on the top 2 issues that I know for a fact we've been working on and trying to figure out. Yeah. Now, the problem with trying to get folks to, buy into what you're doing as the executive branch, my goal is not to get you to buy into it. I always tell my folks, vote your conscience, right? If you don't understand something, vote no. And I, as the leader, it's my job to get you to understand what's going on, so you'll be able to explain it to the people who elected you to be there, and don't be offended by it. And that's the approach to where it has to be. When for 3.5 years on that school board, if you watch any school board meeting for 3.5 years, up until to June 2026, we didn't. Our meetings were very fluid, very efficient. People, at least they would pump faking that they understood what was going on, right? But it wasn't until we got into the friends and the family plan where the whole sister organ sister thing was going on, and I didn't know nothing about it. So it became a different conversation. But then even after that, you still got to lead. So what I'm saying, your job as the mayor, as executive, when you bring in something to the council, is to make sure that they give them time to understand it, but don't baby them. Because they have a responsibility to their constituency to understand what you've given them. And there has to be a level of expectation that when people get in these roles, that they have studied the role. And now we know sometimes people don't, but on the floor is not the time for you to embarrass the person because they didn't know. Right. As a leader I've been in this game a minute, like, it's my job to go to them and say, listen, I see you having some difficult time right here. Here's some professional development. You really need to bring yourself up to speed because this is really about to go at a fast pace. Mm-hmm. And we don't want you to get left behind. People will respect that.
Right. Well,
I had board members who didn't even know how to run a meeting and had been there 6 years before me. But I made sure they knew how to run a meeting. And when we went nationally and representing Pontiac out of town, they could stand tall on one of these mics and talk.
Right. What have you learned in your past position, like, with the school board, in that leadership position? I mean, what have you learned that you would take into this, or what would you not do from experience of learning? You know what I'm saying?
I wish I had a high five button, man. Listen, the one thing that I would take into this is that people learn at a different space. People are not responsible for what you say. They only are responsible for what they hear. And so I would spend more time outside of the business learning my teammate and how they work or process information. Mm-hmm. Because I think if I would have had the ability to slow down, things were happening so fast, and I make no excuse about it. You have to do the work. The work is the work. I'm thinking people understanding what I'm saying and moving in the spaces that we are moving in. And they because it was moving so fast and they never been at this level, mm-hmm. I lost them. And then fear kicks in, and then envy kicks in. And then sometimes people get whispering in their ear, and then jealousy kicks in. And you can't really blame them because they don't. I mean, it's at a very high level when you managing and serving people. It's very stressful, and I would definitely have, specifically at City Hall, Like we need to break bread together. Like I need to know if you having some difficult time at not necessarily know your business, but our department leaders need to know if the people who are under them are having a bad day without them saying they're having a bad day. Like there's some skill sets that you need to teach from top down.
Hey,
I would spend time with counsel. You know what I mean? Like outside of like go to professional developments, but go with them. Even if I know it 1,000 times, go with them.
April, you got anything that you want to?
No.
Okay, Gil, I got a question.
Oh, I'm doing good. April, ain't got
you doing good.
Man, I feel
because as you talking, I'm
come on, man.
It's just,
you know how we do, man. You know how we do, man.
I know we need to get back to that subject we were talking about before Gil got on.
For real,
we got a high population. We have a high Latino population in Pontiac, and that has been a community that before La Familia came into play, you know, they were underutilized,
to a certain degree.
To a certain, well, I will
like
say
I know
you know I'm part Mexican, right? You know I'm part Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will say one thing about my people, because I embrace both cultures. The one thing about my people is that when there's one that's gonna move in, it's probably about 10.
Hey, listen, April, talk about it.
And there's always going to be a way being made to navigate, which is you know why we're seeing all the collaborative efforts, the trucks, the businesses, the churches, the services, all that's nothing new. That's always been part of the culture.
Exactly.
And we got to be ready. They're here, we're here, and I feel like leadership also needs to be ready for that. When we're having these council meetings and all of that, we need to have them both. And I don't know if this already happens or not. I could be speaking, just with what I don't know, but it does need to be translated. It's time that we are.
I remember that came up at one point in time, like it came up in a council meeting before about the translation. Yeah,
CC, some of it's translated, depending on what is there.
But then we are also talking about Donald Trump being in office and immigration, and I mean,
but is that anything new though? Like this not new, but it's not new.
It's not new.
It's not new, and it's not new, and that's what makes us who we are. Like people don't understand. ICE, remember 10 years ago, and ICE was really turned up in the city of Pontiac, and we had to face. And this is during the Obama administration.
That's what I was saying. It's been
and
like
so this is not nothing new for Pontiac. Right. And so what we've been able to do is what is new. I would say this: what is new, because you've always had a high Mexican population and Puerto Rican population, and unfortunately, people don't realize the cultural differences in all the Latino culture and community. And so people just look at somebody and just say, "Oh, they just Hispanic." Bruh, no, it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be very careful how you identify whom you're talking to.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So you have to be specific in that. And so when you used to help in a culture that don't really speak the language and very clear, but the child is in the educational system and they're probably the first graduate out of high school, like you dealing with a legacy turnaround, et cetera. However, there are folks who are immigration when it comes down to in the city of Pontiac. When you talking to folks who are undocumented, they're going to tell you, I know the chances I'm taking. But I'd rather take this chance to make sure that my son or my daughter have the ability to be better than I am. And I'm not working they're not working as a housemaid or a housekeeper for 30 years. They will tell you that and be very proud of that. And because Pontiac is one of those places where they've been allowed to flourish the family, when you have folks from other Latino cultures come in because they running from crime somewhere else, that mixes in people who are not from here, don't know the difference, and then they just do a blanket sweep. And then now folks are getting caught up with things that not necessarily have anything to do with them. So when you're talking about Venezuelans, and some of them were here who were running from crime that they had committed elsewhere, like that's not something that even the Latino people, the population wanted here. It was people who had long-standing people that had been in Pontiac that were getting pushed out and had to go. We had to move them to other. In fact, and we was like, we had to get the handle on that. And so because of where I work at and because of the organization I lead, we were able to, make some distinction. And that's where that experience comes in at, that when you have you need the immediate, right? Like, and so that's you, and then you can't be afraid to talk about this conversation.
Right.
Some people can't say, you're going to hear people can't say that, oh, they think it's new. It ain't, they're not new because you haven't been around. You've been around, but you just haven't been in that space.
Right.
The north end of Pontiac was very, very small. It was just limited to Mount Con, maybe to Columbia. It didn't widespread all the way from Walton to when you touching downtown, sprinkle on the east side over here, west side. Like it grew, and the municipality never paid any attention to it. And so now we're like, okay, well, let's talk about all the food trucks because my friend can't get a food truck. Hold on, bruh. They ain't start out with a food truck. You know what I'm saying? You can go over there on First Street when they was cooking in the garage and get that. They built up to that. But if you don't know and you jump on you get a seat, the first thing you thinking, oh, they all taking over. You say something crazy like that. No. We've always been at the Perry Park. Even when it was Pontiac Police. And some of the police officers was in the soccer games. That ain't just brand new. Well, we need to shut that down because we don't have no ordinance on that. Well, they've been doing it for the last 15, 16 years. Like, this is the soccer capital in Oakland County. But you wouldn't know that because you was just whatever head in the sky. I don't know what else to say about that. So we're gonna talk about immigration. We're gonna talk about all that. You not listen. There are lawful orders that we have to by law, right? You have to adhere to law. But then that doesn't mean that folks got to keep living. They're going to be fearful, and you have to allow people that space. But then you also have to understand the part that you played in that. So how do we get those who are not documented? What process do we have in our city that somebody can come and say, I want to be a U.S. citizen? And as many Latino folks that we have in this community, you should have an embassy here. We should have something here that people should be able to go through a process to get the documentation and not have to go to Detroit and compete with the folks in Southwest.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before you jumped on, Gil, is that the assumption is that a lot of immigrants that are coming, they're criminals or they just don't want to go through the process, and I don't. While I do believe, okay, there's crime is everywhere. We just talked about that. Crime is everywhere. Crime is not limited to just one race, to just one culture. Crime is everywhere. It's just unfortunate that we are in times where the president that we have has amplified so much hate that that's all that we see. And it's unfortunately,
Mhm.
it's unfortunate that our Latino community has gotten the brunt of that hate, because
Because they're not the only
immigrants
immigrants. They're
and
not the only
immigrants,
immigrants.
yeah, they're not the only immigrants.
The only
Immigrants,
immigrants.
we got immigrants that come, we've got Asian immigrants that come, they're coming
Yeah,
in
Filipinos. I mean,
from Korea, they're coming, we got Haitians
yes,
that are coming in, we got
yes.
Venezuelans, we got,
Middle Easterns.
yeah, we got Russians coming in, we got
Yes,
Ukrainians coming in,
here
we
in
got,
Pontiac.
yes,
Here,
we got them coming everywhere, not just in
yeah,
Pontiac, they're coming everywhere. And
yeah.
so when we talk about, immigration, and we're boxing immigrants, we don't know
Hmm.
what their purpose is here. A lot of times when people migrate to the United States, they come
Hmm.
here because they believe that they can get a slice of that pie, of that American dream, and
Hmm.
that they can build on it, but their path is not clear enough to do that, and it costs money. How do you come and expect somebody to be a US citizen right away when they're running from, or maybe they're not even running, but they're a lot of times they're coming with
Hmm.
the clothes on their back, with very
Hmm.
little money, and with a hope and a dream. And there
Hmm.
is no clear path and an easy path to make it happen. So a lot of times they're getting the jobs, again, like I mentioned before, the jobs that nobody else wants. They're getting paid under the table. They're getting paid for way less. They're the ones that are, picking our produce, or the ones that are on the hot roof, building our roofs, doing the construction. They're doing all those jobs
Hmm.
in in pursuit of the happiness that we all have, that we are all
Hmm.
afforded because we were born here.
Hmm.
And so I don't believe the rhetoric that we see on TV, that, oh, we've got to get the criminals out. Not saying that that doesn't exist, but we have to keep in mind that the United States is built on the fundamental fact that, well, first of all, um, black people, we didn't have no choice. We were bought here. We were
I was
not.
hoping you. I was. I was hoping you get to that.
First
Like,
of all, we're
I don't.
here,
I
but
don't think we
we
were.
really probably didn't even want to be here, right?
I,
Like,
I'm like. I don't think we was running. I
no, we
think
weren't
somebody
running. We
came and
were
got
brought
us.
here.
Right. So I don't think for sure. And so I think to your point, like,
One,
but to
two.
be in full
You guys can
transparency,
hear me,
because
right? You can hear me, right?
yeah, we can
Okay,
hear
cool.
you. In full transparency, because I do work in the law enforcement space. There, because of the wars that were breaking out, there were an uptick of folks who were very hostile, evil people, jails opening up because they was using for certain things and they dropped them off here. That is a fact. But to blow it out as if that's what it's always been is the propaganda
We have
piece.
we have a caller, real quickly. Caller,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hi,
you got
this is
turn
Nikita.
turn your speaker down.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we got you. Go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am.
You're online.
First of all, I would like to say congratulations, Gil.
Thank you,
This
madam.
is shocking news, but congratulations. So, my question to you is,
Yes, ma'am.
what made you want to go down this roadmap now, as opposed to staying in the school sector?
It was, and you didn't hear the beginning of it. It was time now that to speak out for as a whole, like to lead from the top seat as a whole, because people look to the mayor to be the one to solve, not to solve all their problems, but to bridge the silos, to have spaces where they're connecting the dots. And because I've been at every level, from the law enforcement to the schools and just recently in the municipality, like I can connect those dots without
Right.
fail, because I know the policies and procedures in each one. And if we and have done it at a high level. The second part of that is the fact that, yeah, And I told you this, and I tell a couple of your classmates, y'all raised me, right? I had to grow up really fast in front of y'all because I was just old enough to be an older brother, but I had to act like I was the, school resource officer, right? Come with some authority. So there was certain things I had to mature in a lot faster. And now that y'all have kids who are graduating and you have kids in the system, like I see a generation and now a second generation that if I do nothing, then they won't have the opportunities or that I know that they can have, if that makes sense. So as young as I am, I'm really young, old. And so if I sit back and do nothing, then ultimately your kids don't get an opportunity to see something that you didn't see when you were coming up. You saw a little bit of it, but now you're like, they need to have more. And because of that, that's my grandkids as well. Like it's certain things I saw Pontiac at a higher level. And then as I'm watching it come, I went the highs and the lows. It needs to be some decision now. And everybody is not willing to make those decisions without being political. And I am. And I can talk to you, right? I can, you know what I'm saying? Like once you
our conversations, and I just like the fact that, and I appreciate you all for taking this call. I just like to see people be in their true authenticity, right? So I like people to be authentic around me, and just think the city needs to be more unified in this season. There's a lot of division at every level. But I feel like when you have children who are in this city, they need to see more unification as opposed to division. And, no matter who is in that seat, whoever is in that seat, they just have to do this for the city. So, but I thank you so much because this is a eye opener for me tonight. I didn't know, but again, congratulations on you even taking that step to even say, hey, I'm putting my hat in the ring. So I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Keita.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. All right, go ahead.
Man, that's like, that was like a.
That's some good info. She didn't even know
that was like a
running,
surreal
so
moment.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like that was like a surreal moment.
Breaking news, right?
Breaking news, you know what I mean?
That's
Breaking
awesome.
Right. Like that was like a surreal moment for me.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like when your babies have babies and they grow, you know what I mean? Like it's something at stake here. Like the same way her mom trusted me to keep her safe while she was in that school.
Now she's looking
like
at you
I
to
watched
keep
her son and her daughter go through the school system.
Right.
I'm having conversations with her, not as my student, but as a parent. And then be able to, because I have a couple of her classmates that's on our team. That's on our team, very successful, right? The adults. And they know they craft, right? And it's like, when you watch them go from young adults, the babies, the young adults, and then you watching them to grow up, and then they live in these adult lives, and it's just like, no, this is real. And I can't leave that to chance, no. You know what I mean? Like you can't leave that to chance.
Right.
And hoping that, somebody's going to do right when you've been enough and seen it enough where you like, no, we can't go backwards. We ain't going backwards.
So as we winding up, Gil, let me ask you this question. It tells a lot about a person, a leader, it tells a lot about a leader of who he picks to be around him in his circle or decision-making process.
Oh, for sure.
So every mayor has to pick. I'm not asking you to pick who your, what I'm saying, deputy mayor would be, but what are some of the qualities, you know what I mean? What are you going to be looking for? Because that's a direct extension of you. So, I mean, what are you going to be looking at for, someone?
A person.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you asked that question because I don't have yes people around me. If anybody ever worked with me, like my team is very, very diverse, right? Like folks who challenge me in such a way where they may have a different way of getting to where, because I'm a long driver. Like you got to know yourself. Like I'm a visionary. I forecast, and then I look 5 years down the line. I'm not running for a 4-year seat. I'm running for an 8-year seat. I'm not running for just to be sticking around just for 4 years. I'm running to say, okay, we got to solve what we've been dealing with for 6 years in 2 years, and then we got to take the other 2 years and make sure that we solidify it, and then we got to take the next 2 years to build on top of that, and then take the last 2 years, find a successor to make sure that we can keep going. So it's 8 years. I'm not doing it just in kicks and giggles. Okay, then I'm at 58, so the younger will be 10, grandchild will be 10, right? 13. Okay, how do they filtrate through the system to get the Promise Zone money to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I need a person that is not necessarily the opposite, but I'm looking for somebody that first love people. You got to have commonalities. So the love of the service is first. If you love, like I love, the people upon it, we can, our ups and downs and challenges, we're going to get through them because we should have them. You should have a yes person around you.
Right.
I'm looking for somebody who has the vision and be able to execute on a daily level as I'm forecasting, of making sure that they can treat people in such a way where empathy plays the primary role. And a direct person that not working have enough as I do, I have no problem transitioning and finding spaces where people are better at, even if they started somewhere else. So you can't be afraid of that. This may not be the role for you, but we do have a role here. And
So
not just rushing it.
So you're looking for somebody that's going to challenge you to make better decisions. That's what I'm gathering. Like you,
not necessarily make better decisions, but if not just make it. I'm not the only decision make. I'm the final decision maker. I'll take that responsibility all day. People know that, but they say, "Hey, Gil, have you looked at it this way?" Don't not challenge me because of the mayor title. I don't like people like that around me. I don't have people like that around my businesses. I don't have, and I don't call them employees. I got people around my teammates. Right? I didn't grow Garrett Group and Associates to what it is by myself. I didn't build, I didn't help the district. I didn't do that. Gil Garrett didn't do that by himself. What you see, that didn't happen. I had a vision and people carried it out and they're maintained, but that didn't happen by myself. What you see as far as transitioning from community policing, from when we were Pontiac Police Department to the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, and we started from the ground up, that didn't start by just Gil Garrett by himself. So you have to have people around you that's going to just, have you looked at it this way? And so, and then again, it goes back to loving the people, because if you love the people, no matter how hard it gets, you're gonna go back to that and go, okay, this is where I want to be. This is where you have to want to be. To want to be, for a person like me to want to be the mayor is not because I need money. I don't need a job. I'm retired already. I don't need a job.
Right.
I've been doing the work without a job. When I was laid off for a whole 2 years, then I go back 1.5 years. I spent my own money during the first 2 months of the transition of when this current administration. I've been blessed enough. I don't need everybody you don't, when God is supplying that space, I'm just going to put that out there. Other folks need a job. It's your decision making going to be different. How you attack a problem is going to be different. You can't, this not a 9 to 5. You say you talking about the mayor or what's going on is heating up. Oh, I'm tuning in. Ready or not. Yeah, I put the tie on, but I lost the bed with my wife. I'm to come off that tie, but I need, you know what I mean? Like you got to stay engaged. And staying engaged ain't when the lights are on. And staying engaged ain't just being in Pontiac.
Right.
So I had some conversations, you know what I mean? So I'm looking for some folks who looking at the region. You know what I'm saying? Like I've already had conversations with mayors that touch our borders.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's smart.
They haven't elected me to the seat yet, but I can't wait to get to the seat to have those conversations because we got some right now, issues. So I'm looking for somebody who know that this is where they want to be. They know that they want to serve here. They know that they have enough empathy within themselves that when we are building up City Hall again, we are, our workers, the people who work for us and they have enough empathy to understand that, enough empathy and accountability that we can work through the situation. And if they can't, we can transition them. And it's not personal.
Right.
And so, and not just because I'm the mayor, we're going to go with what you say. That's not going to build our city. That's not going to, put us, past where we want to be and where we need to be.
Yeah.
I don't surround myself with yes people. When you see me around folks, you really don't know who the CEO is. You don't. Because
I agree. A good leader, a good leader sometimes is better in the background, right? Because you got to surround yourself with the people that, and you have to understand that you just can't do it all. A good leader recognizes that they just cannot do it all and that they do have to lean on other people.
You do.
To improve policies, and you're going to have those moments where you got to find common ground. And I think a lot of our leadership, you talked about egos. A lot of times in the past, what I've seen with leadership is that the ego overtakes the mission, and then the mission gets lost, and it becomes lost in translation, which is, are we doing the job that the people hired us to do? The people,
that happens a lot.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, when you start campaigning, you're soliciting my vote, and I am tasked with the position of hiring you on, and there's a level of accountability there. I agree. There's a level of empathy there, and then there's got to be another layer of understanding that leadership comes from making the tough decisions and the financial decisions that need to be made that impact us not only from the short term, but from the long term. We talked about that youth recreation. How are we going to pay for that? Yeah, we got the money right now through the ARPA funding and stuff, but nobody has. How are we going to make sure that this is not closing down before it even has an opportunity to take off? But that's just one thing that we expect from our leaders. Another thing that we also expect is, like you said, the timing commitments. There's been so many times where Pontiac has gotten huge dollars come down the pipeline, grant opportunities, where we're down to the final hour, park installments, things that have come down the pipeline, and we're down to the last hour, the last minute, making these decisions where they have to make them haphazardly without consideration for what the public that hired them really wanted. And so there is a level of empathy and business decision making. I think that sometimes we got to take the emotion out of making the decisions.
Yes, and And to your point, I remember when we had to close schools. It was 2007. State came in. I just got elected. They was like, if you don't close schools and save yourself over $26 million, we're going to strip your district. It was flat out. I'm like, first of all, I just came off an indictment on somebody who was taking kids' money. I don't know nothing. What did you mean closing the schools? So you mean to tell me that if I don't make a decision on how to save this money, the school district gone? And so studying, thank God for the people, like you say, that you have around you that know the work. And my aunties were in education and they knew curriculum, because there's a business side of education and then there's the academic side. And sometimes they combat with each other, because what you have to do to be fiscally sovereign a lot of times don't match the curriculum, and vice versa. And so when I had to make that decision, and you talking about, and I'm a police officer at the time too. So you mean to tell, so you talking about closing somebody's school versus one or the other. The amount of conversations that I had to have at the Mill Down, at the SAP Club, at the Legions, at the Night Riders, at the Lancasters, the Newmans, the backyard pickups, the softball game, like the amount of conversations that I had to have in that year of explaining why we had to do what we needed to do to save the district as a whole. By the time I was able to give my recommendation, I was giving my recommendation off the knowledge base that I had a year prior to. And so even though it didn't feel good doing it, I didn't want to close Central. But at the bottom line, when you're looking at saying growing in capacity and where people can fit, and we don't have the money to do new schooling, and finding out that the kids were already academically, having challenges in both schools, and that if, like you had to do all that comparing, and Northern was the better choice, and I end up ushering in that conversation. Check the minutes. They went with a plan that was presented by a team that I felt that we had a plan to save us, and ultimately the plan worked to save us. But then after it happened in 2009, going into 2010, you had people come in afterwards, have people run for the board that did not, now we could do what we want to do now. The Johnny come latelys. The hard part is done. But you forgot about Northern and Central. There is no Pontiac High without Pontiac Northern or Pontiac Central. You forgot to build that up. You forgot to, implement the fact that the history and the legacy and tie that into the Phoenix. So it's those type of conversations, and and that comes from experience. Like you said, Avery, you gonna look to me, and I still had to work here. Mm-hmm. I still lived here. I still had to raise my kid. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get it as rough as somebody probably would if I was probably like about 130 pounds wet. Somebody probably would have tried. You know what I'm saying? I probably would have got my jaw rocked, downtown a couple of times, you know what I'm saying, from somebody in Central. For sure. Because there's that much pride into that. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? But you got to be able to stand 10 toes, as they would say, 10 toes down. Mm-hmm. And look somebody in their face and say, I had to save us as a whole. And I ain't going nowhere. Yeah. And then they turn around and lay me off as a police officer because the decision that was being made next door wasn't the same decisions to keep us as a whole. Mm. So thank God. I thank God that we had enough, the individuals who made that decision to shrink us down, to build us back up, because the municipality at that time, when they laid me off, now I'm off work. Thank God for my business. Thank God for, provision. You know what I'm saying? My dad, and thank God for that. Hey, now I had to go over on the municipal side and fight for getting my law enforcement agency back, because that public safety was. So we got into that fight. So the experiences that I have, right? Like the decision making that I know that needs to happen right now is some of those same decisions that I was raised under. And again, I don't need a job. This is an assignment. I'm asking you to put me back in the. I'm asking you to give me your trust again on an assignment, because you had me do that before and you trusted me. And look at where we at. I'm asking for an assignment. I'm asking for an additional assignment. I'm coming to you asking for this. You got to want this. This ain't something that you're going to be like, oh yeah, I get healthcare benefits and then, I get paid and that. No. This time around, it's impossible for that. But most folks who, and no disrespect, you gotta have your career. You gotta get to this, right? But I don't need a job. I need to finish this assignment. I need to carry us through the finish line.
I like how you said that. This not it's an assignment, and to be a mayor, to be any type of leadership of people, you know what I'm saying? It has to be an assignment. Like that's like being over a church. You know what I'm saying? It's an assignment. Yeah. It's not a job.
I told you I was called to this. I fasted first.
It's a calling. It's a call.
I ain't just wake up and say yeah. No, I was called to this.
And that's great that you went ahead and took a higher counsel, and took it to God and asked him to give you the answer. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Gil, man, I'd like to say thank you. I know we're going to wind up. We're getting a little bit in the late hour, man.
Thank y'all, man. April, good. It's so good seeing you.
It's good seeing you.
It's so I'm always grateful when you in these spaces and I get to see you pop in.
She about to be a regular. She don't even know it, Gil. She about to be like on here every day.
I need her too.
Hey man, hey look, God, hey bro, God make a way. It's like he just does stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's awesome. You know what I mean? So April, she don't even know she on board, dog.
Yeah, that's what's up. We gotta, man. I'm telling you, when I see her comments at City Council and she tweeting and she commenting, I'm commenting. I'm like, right. I be wanting to be like, they ain't listening to us, right?
I know. But you know what? I don't care.
Thank y'all. Listen, thank y'all
for
having me.
Right is right, wrong is wrong, right?
For sure. Thank y'all for having me, and I appreciate this. Yeah. And I would definitely love to come back as the campaign is moving along to be able to kind of to share definitely what's going on. We took the first initial step. We dropped it all on social media during the halftime, of the Super Bowl. And
that's what I told my sister. I said, Gil dropped it on halftime.
That was very intentional. That was very intentional.
Oh, Kendrick, you did a Kendrick on us.
They are not like us.
Right.
We're different. We are different. And so, but we are going to have some further dates. The website to drop on the 17th. I'm gonna do a live Q&A, just to kind of explain a little bit more of that collaborative piece we talked about, the silo, the getting rid of the middle management, the democracy, kind of how we're going to move in that direction. Some of the same things that we talked about here. You guys are going to hear it again, and those who tuned in is going to hear it again. But because I know I've studied the system, right? Like I'm to come up with a platform to talk about what I think I'm going to do. I am the platform. I've been doing the work. So it's not something that I need to do, and there's no other candidate that has that experience that's worked in each one of those entities. One may worked in one or the other, but still had to go play Mother May I don't. And we need some right now information. So, and some right now decision making. And we here for it, all of it.
Well, man, you always welcome here, and I'm glad. Like, I knew you was gonna announce this. I just didn't know how and when. Because we had the conversation. But I'm glad. I'm glad that you put your hat in there. And like I say, I can vouch. I mean, Gil is a good guy. That's all I can say. He's a good guy.
I appreciate it.
And I'm glad that you come on here, man. That you can talk to the people, inform me about what you're doing, and your service to the community as a whole is there. You can't, no matter what nobody say, it's there, and you continuing to build upon it. And like you say, it's an assignment. You want an assignment. You want
that it is.
Yeah. You on a mission from God.
For sure. I'm gonna try to keep my time next time. I'm gonna try to keep my time. Matter of fact, I may just wear a button up, man. I just call it.
You might as well just come without the tie, just
Right.
Might as well, brother. Might as well.
Listen, my wife, y'all can't see her. She off screen right now. She looking at me like she's doing it like this.
Right. So we gonna end the show together. But April, April.
Yes.
So what happened, Gil, was this in record.
Yeah. How you get April? That's what
Bro,
I want.
I don't even know
Let me
how I
see that.
got
How did you
April.
get April on the show?
I checked the message and she was like, you know,
Okay.
do you want to have a woman's perspective? And I'm like, a woman perspective is always good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, okay, how do, you know, I didn't know April. Did you think that we were meeting in person? How did you, or did you know we
Look,
was doing online?
I didn't know what to expect.
Okay.
I'm not I'm partial to social media, you know, so
Okay.
I get on, do a little check, and then I get I get off. So I just happened to pop on social media. I saw your post, and all the subject matters are things that are important to me. I don't like a lot of small talk. I'm not a small talker, so that's why
Yeah.
I don't do too much social media, anyways. Besides for my business, so I was like, you know what, these are topics that are important to me, and I said, you know, let me just see what this is about, and I'm glad I
That's
did.
what's up. I
Well,
love it. I love it.
So hey, she don't even know she on board, bro. But
I
yeah, she
love
on
it.
board.
I love it. I love it. I'm here for it.
So with that being said, people, thank you for joining WYAC, Pontiac WYAC, number one on your DM down for a reason, because we bring the real things that really matter in the city of Pontiac, and I call it the metro area of Pontiac, the surrounding areas. I mean, mayoral candidate, and you know, mayor is a mighty position, and great leadership is needed. And you know, I believe what we heard tonight is a lot of good information moving forward. You know, and I know this man. I can vouch and say this is a good man, and I believe that, and I know for a fact that Pontiac is in his heart. And it's very impressive when anytime, in my opinion, that someone goes to God or goes to a higher power who they believe in before they make a decision like that, because you're not just making a decision for yourself. You're making a decision that's going to affect other people. And that's a high calling right there. That's just not something you take lightly or take a responsibility for, especially when you already have a family of your own. So just taking responsibility for other people, you know, is
I thought I was gone, brother.
yeah. So yeah, man.
Them grandkids will get you.
Yeah. So hey,
I commend you, Gil. I commend you.
Yeah.
This is great responsibility. I know you got this. I know you got it.
I appreciate y'all, man. I
you got
appreciate
it.
y'all. Thank y'all so much again.
You got it. So we may be back. April, you're more than welcome. I may be back
Hey,
on.
if I'm available, I'm good with
I'll
it.
let you know the link,
I
and
love
we'll
it.
get back at it. With that being said, folks, I am going to say adios. Good night. Love you all. Keep God first, family second, and you third. And in that order, you should never be made last, because the last is always made first. That's my saying, and that's what I believe.
Awesome.
Last words, April.
Thanks for having me on this platform. Great conversations was had tonight, and I look forward to many more. And congratulations, Gil.
Last words, Gil.
Thank you. Man, great conversations, man. Pontiac proud, trusted process, man. And we here. We ain't going no. Pontiac is well represented. Believe that. Thank you.
All right, we done. See you guys later.
All right. Have a good one.